Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Sadie.
I'm glad we're here today to talk a bit about Awaken.
Yeah, we have another cohort coming up, and I know I'm really excited about it. I know you are too. We've finished our first cohort, and I think it went amazing. Got some really great feedback, and have a lot of people interested in learning more about what we're doing and
Yeah,
what Awaken can do for them.
yeah. So let's dive in actually. I think I want to start by sharing a bit about why I think this Awaken is important for people today. And so I'm going to just share my view, which is I just keep having through my conversations with friends and also with people I'm coaching so many conversations with women about how they want to there's just this kind of overriding sense of I guess confusion and also guilt. So for example, I want to be with my kids, but I also want to have a career. I wanna be with my family, but I also want time by myself. Like, I really wanna stop hustling, and I also wanna reach my full potential. So this kind of dilemma that I think women are experiencing a lot, and for me, really a lot of it comes down to, how we've been sort of conditioned and socialized as women, which for many of us is kind of invisible and we're not really aware of. So Awaken for me helps to allow us to sort of step back, zoom out, and really take some like broad perspective of what is influencing our thoughts and decisions and actually what control we might have that we don't even know about yet to shape those.
hmm
What's your experience?
Yeah. So I am definitely not only hearing a lot of those things, but I would say experiencing a lot of those same things. The desire to want to be with my family all the time and the need and the want to take some space and pour into myself. And so one of the things when we're talking to women about what Awaken does is it actually gives you the space to stop and think about what you actually want and how maybe you can take action that's in alignment with both of those, like what seem to be conflicting desires. And it really just, I think everybody is just so busy and going from thing to thing to thing. And this really, really helps you stop, slow down, and kind of take action on all of the things that we're trying to incorporate into our lives to live better and feel better. So I think that space is really valuable that the program provides. But to your point, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of those like I think I know what I want, but I'm not sure if I actually want it, or I think I know what I want, but I can't give myself permission to actually take
Yeah.
action on it. Those types of
Right,
things.
yeah, and I'm progressing, the path that I think is the one that I'm meant to be on, but something inside me just doesn't feel 100% like this is the path I wanna be on. So
Mhm.
you can kind of you get that feeling inside, but your head is overriding it the whole time with, you just need to work harder, you just need to hustle more, you just need to, wait till the kids have grown up, or you just need to earn a bit more money. There's all the head talking to you, but we're losing, I think, and this is definitely my experience as well, we're losing connection with what our body is really telling us. And
Mhm.
we're not able to listen to that because it's too
Mhm.
loud everywhere. So yeah, that is exactly what we are able to do in this program. And the other really important part of it as well, I think, is that you're doing it with a small group of other women who are experiencing exactly the same thing. And the learnings we are able to get from one another and the kind of normalization of all of this when you're in a group, a small group where other people are experiencing exactly the same thing, it just takes away this sense of I'm on my own or I'm different or why am I the only one that's struggling with this? I don't know how to solve this. Let me just carry on doing what I'm doing and distract myself from what I don't want to think about. It kind of holds a mirror up to us in that group, but with a lot of support and a lot of kind of patience and kindness and compassion.
And authenticity. I think the
Yeah.
trap that I see there a lot is that we are all experiencing a lot of the same things, but we're not really vulnerable in allowing people to see what we're experiencing. So
Yeah.
the impact that that has on us is that we look around and we feel like everyone else's lives are really easy. Everything that's coming to them is like they must just deserve it. And then when you peel back the layers in a small group like this, you realize that a lot of those challenges are similar and you can learn from each other, not just from us as the facilitators, but learn from each other, experience what it's like to become vulnerable and the growth that happens as a result of that. So that's another really big thing, I think.
Yeah. This is more as well, it's more than just talking and more than just listening. There's some really helpful frameworks and tools that are offered every single session so that whoever's participating can actually make some sense and some meaning out of their experiences. So, we can shine a light on some of the challenges we're facing, and then we can offer some mechanisms, some methods, tools, frameworks to actually start to shift some of those
Mhm,
things. There's practice that we do in the sessions, which I think is really helpful when we can share that amongst the group. And then there's things that can be done between sessions as well. But really, it's not a heavy lift.
mhm,
It's kind of quote unquote work that is only designed to help you reprogram and I guess shift some of those patterns that might have been keeping you held where you are and offering you an alternative choice to how you want to experience life.
mhm. Yeah, I think some of the feedback that we've gotten that's been really eye opening has been, one of the biggest benefits of the program is creating that space for yourself to actually be able to put some of these things that you're learning into practice or to just take advantage of this space to be able to think a little bit differently instead of just being on defense all the time or just adding to your very very long list. It gives you a space to process. It gives you a space to kind of like collaborate with other women and just also a space to consider what you want and what you need. And that in itself, for those of us who just don't really carve that out for ourselves in our everyday life is really, really,
Yeah.
really beneficial.
Yeah. I think I'll share a little bit, just really high level, about what a participant would experience in the program. So there's six weeks. It's once a week over that period for 90 minutes. Yeah, some of the kind of frameworks, tools, areas of focus that we'll talk about. First is around sort of how we can help understand better how, like I said, we've been conditioned, we've been socialized culturally, socially, through families, etc., which helps us to kind of recognize what scripts we might have been living by, which we didn't even know about. So that's helpful, just in raising awareness. And then that helps us start to understand how our inner world, our inner game, if you like, drives our outer game, our outside world, and how much control we actually use the word control, choice, agency we do have around our outside experience as well as our inside experience. We focus a lot on building self trust, and this is sometimes hard to put into words, but there really is a way which we work on together in this group to allow ourselves to have a much higher level of trust in ourselves and clarity in ourselves. And then we give ourselves permission to really dive into what is it we really want versus what is it we think we should want. And then we're able, once we've covered all of that work together, is to take some real steps to realign what we um, I guess like building a bridge from where we are today to where we would like to be and having the tools and the experience by that point in order to close the gap between the kind of life we have today. And maybe there isn't a radical change we want to make. Maybe it's a small thing, but we still have belief and the capacity that we're able to do that. So that's just for somebody who's curious about, well, what is it about? That gives you a sense as to some of the areas that we cover and what you might experience by the end of it.
Yeah. So, a couple of questions on that for people who may not have done any of this work or are unfamiliar with some of the language that you used. So, for someone who has never heard the term living by someone else's script or the scripts that have been written for us, give an example or tell me a little bit about what that means
Yeah.
if somebody's never kind of gone down that path before.
Yeah. Well, I'll just use myself as an example. So, growing up, it was always built into my belief system through my family of origin that in order to be successful, you would, go to school, go to university, get a job, get a house, a husband, kids, and then, that's it. That's what success looks like. Climb up in your organization, get the bigger job, get the better job, get more money. But through events that have happened in my life, I've realized that actually that's not what success means to me anymore. And I think there's been a lot of time when it didn't apply to me, but didn't I didn't know that. I didn't allow myself to know that there was an alternative um, meaning of success that I wanted to hold. One of them is being able to really live with authenticity. And that means using the gifts that I've got in ways that don't necessarily mean I'm climbing up the corporate ladder anymore. And it looks quite different. It looks like serving others, helping others. It doesn't necessarily look like striving for a bigger paycheck. It looks like, getting that sense of personal fulfillment from the work that I do and ensuring that I have enough to cover my means. So hopefully that gives a bit of a sense of what I mean by other people's scripts. And it's not necessarily that people have been holding you in a straitjacket. It's just these are the expectations that families, society, culture puts on us
Hmm.
as women and as people living in this generation.
So, for someone who maybe thinks that they're living by somebody else's script, can you describe like what the tension feels like or how they can notice that dissonance maybe from the life that they're living if they haven't really given it a lot of thought? Like, what's
Yeah.
coming up for them?
I think they're probably feeling something that feels like stuck. Or, one way I describe it sometimes is you feel like you've got one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake at the same time. So you're trying to move forward, but then something's really holding you back. There's perhaps a lot of feelings around guilt or resentment. I resent having to be here. I resent having to be in this environment or in this job or in this relationship. I want something different, but I can't really articulate what that is. So it could feel like frustration. It could feel like just disconnect, like I've just given up, like I've got no motivation for this anymore. Sometimes it feels like burnout. So there's lots of ways I think it manifests. I also think we try and avoid that feeling, whatever it is, by distracting ourselves. So it might be that we are just becoming overly busy, we're overstretching ourselves. We don't, busyness becomes something we can't stop because it's defining us. And if we stop being busy, if we stop doing, then all these, potentially uncomfortable feelings or thoughts might come up. So it can be kind of exhausting energetically
Hmm.
uh, without even realizing why we're feeling
Hmm.
that way. Did that
Yes.
resonate?
Yes, very much. And I think that those are some really great examples. The behaviors, I think, are a big one. I'll say they're like the numbing behaviors that we adopt because it's easier to just kind of like go with the flow than it is to stop and recognize and perhaps make a change. So
Yeah.
whether that looks like scrolling or drinking or,
Mm,
like even
going to
it
the
can be like,
refrigerator.
yeah, hanging with the same friends because you're not in exactly fulfilled by the relationships, but it's easy. It doesn't require any friction to make a change. And a lot of those, if you're feeling those come up, then I think the root cause can be a lot of the things that you were talking about
Yeah. Yeah.
the
And
scripts and the stuckness.
just to, like, for anybody listening to this that might be resonating, I think that the one thing I'd want you to take away right now is that that's a sign of growth in and of itself, where you feel that resistance, that friction, that tension. That means that something inside you is shifting, and that is growth. I think if anyone has that sense, then this is a great space to get that sort of support or help to move through that tension and come out the other side with a great sense of clarity and agency over what you can do with the things that have come up.
Yes, definitely. Another thing that I think that you described really well that Awaken is a big support for is kind of this overwhelm of information that we're subjected to all the time, coming at us from every direction, and kind of the danger in that. So, talk a little bit about what you see and what Awaken does that's different.
Yeah, so this is a really key point for me because I am a huge believer that we are overwhelmed with the amount of information that we are consuming these days. So, whether that's news, social media, whatever it is, the kind of tidal wave of stuff that we're absorbing and we're consuming, yet we are not metabolizing, is creating this blockage within us. So, Awaken is deliberately designed to be different than that. Yes, you get tools, you get some information, but the whole point of this is for you to be able to practice, for you to be able to use this so that you can metabolize everything that you're hearing, everything that you're learning, and you can let it process through you in order to create a shift. So, I mean, I just sometimes if I spend time like looking on Instagram or what have you, and I get hooked by another message about how I can take better care of myself or how I can grow more into, my own fullest potential, I feel myself getting a bit jittery because I'm like, oh my God, I can't, like, what do I do with this? How am I going to apply this? When am I going to get a chance to dot, dot, dot?
Mhm,
And I just want to take all of that pressure away. You come, you will learn, you will grow, and you will embody the stuff that you're hearing and
mhm,
learning.
mhm.
So you don't have to carry it around as another thing to do.
Yes. So, 2 things I'll add to that. One is, we talk about sometimes the difference in a to-do list and a to-be list.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of the times when we're absorbing all of this information, it just continues to pile up on our to-do list. It's like sometimes I'll listen to a podcast where the host will describe their morning routine that lasts 2.5 hours. And I'm like, how on earth am I supposed to adopt a morning routine that's going to set me up for the best day ever in 2.5 hours? What can I do in the 12 minutes I have? Like that type of thing. So when you continue to absorb this information, it just stacks up on your to-do list, and you carry that weight with you. Like, I need to drink a smoothie in the morning. I need to meditate for 20 minutes. I need to in order to do all of these other things, where what we tend to focus on is more of a to be list, and having the things that we're doing really, really driven by how we want to be and not what we think we should do, or, this continual like to-do list, or, it can even turn into a wish list of sorts because we're never actually going to get to it. So
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
that's a pretty important
Yeah.
shift there. And then, just to your point on I think we're both big consumers, and we're not really saying that you shouldn't consume, but what we are saying is that, consumption without digestion it kind of exacerbates what I was just talking about, that, like, adding to your list, because you knowing more doesn't make you do things differently, and I think that until you can, like, make that connection,
Yeah.
um, it
Yeah.
just continues to be, like,
Yeah.
everything in, nothing out.
Yeah, that blockage. And
Mhm,
Simon Sinek is somebody who talks a lot about, your why, and you could kind of connect that with some of his work in that, why do we want to be consuming this information? Why do we want to be growing to be the best version of ourselves? What is the experience of life that we want to have? Who do we want to be? And it's some of these really important questions that we can
mhm.
ask and take the time to answer through this program.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all really good stuff. Anything else we haven't
I
touched on?
don't only just to say that, we're starting this on the 18th of September, 18th or 19th. And, we really want to share these messages with as many women as possible. And, we want to help offer the opportunity for as many women as possible. So I can't wait. And hopefully this has resonated with a few of you. But if you have any questions, then you can reach out to Kelly or I.
Yes, definitely. Excited to be on this journey again and helping people live lives that feel as good as they look.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Kelly.
Thanks, Sadie.